Located on New Jersey's Central Coast as a seaside community, Asbury Park was founded in 1871 as a residential resort by New York brushmaker James A. Bradley. Shortly after the city's establishment, Bradley began investing in waterfront construction, installing a boardwalk, an orchestra pavilion, and a pier at the south end of the boardwalk. The 1920s saw a dramatic change in the boardwalk, with the construction of the Paramount Theater and Convention Hall complex. At the same time, business, education, and residential districts began to flourish.
The golden years were between 1910 and 1960. At that time, there was a lot of construction. Convention Hall was built, the Berkeley Carteret Hotel, the casino, the power plant. So there was a lot of activity on the boardwalk. The boardwalk was always very popular from Asbury Park's start. People loved coming here to go swimming. But also between 1910 and 1960, Cookman Avenue was very vibrant. There was a bustling commercial district around Cookman Avenue. There were large retailers. And Asbury Park was sort of a center for this area.
Unique and majestic in nature, the historic Paramount Theater has been a showcase for music and performing arts since the 1920s, giving way to performances by artists including Frank Sinatra, the Marx Brothers, the Rolling Stones, and Bruce Springsteen. However, Asbury's era of flourishment and prosperity was short-lived, and with the onset of the Great Depression and World War II, the city began to take a turn for the worse.
I've been here most of my life. In fact, all of my life I've spent summers in Asbury Park, and used to be a wonderful, wonderful place. And then I watched it deteriorate over a period of 30 years. I worked on the beachfront for 40 years as a lifeguard, and it was so sad to see what was happening, how people would start projects and then walk away from them.
With the opening of Great Adventure and the closing of a New Jersey Turnpike exit crucial to Asbury's popularity, a combination of stiff competition and municipal mismanagement quickly led to Asbury's decline.
After the 1950s or 1960s, cities and urban areas became very unpopular. People wanted to live in suburbs, and cities had a reputation of being dirty, congested places where there was a lot of crime. And all cities, not just Asbury, suffered declines. Red Bank, New Brunswick. And those declines were due to this negative image. And people wanted to get out of cities. They thought the suburbs were the place to be. They wanted to raise their families in clean, safe suburbs.
Within Asbury's vibrant cityscape lies Convention Hall and the Paramount Theater, a multi-purpose venue of two separate buildings, joined by a grand arcade. Constructed in 1923 and located on the boardwalk extending out over the beach, the architectural design of this impressive structure belongs to Warren and Wetmore.
The building was built. It really is neat. It was built in like 1928 through 1930, which is, you know, the stock market crashed. It was a time of opulence, and culture, you know, kind of changed. And the fellows that designed the building, Wetmore was one of the architects. And he also designed Grand Central in New York. His background was in, he lived in France. He did French architecture. And so when you look at this building, and you look at his background, and you look at you know, architectural history, they all kind of come together in a stew. It's really neat. It's got elements of Italianate architecture, which was you know, very popular in the late 1800s, that kind of stayed on. And it has elements. If you look over in the theater at the railings, there's a lot of French influence there. And then also Art Deco was starting to come in at that time as a style of architecture and art that people were becoming interested in. It had a lot more to do with being more modernized, and so detail was a lot more angular. And so you can see all of these things, all of these elements coming together to form the building, and it's really kind of nice when you can read that, read the architecture kind of like a book.
Since 2002, Asbury Park has been in the midst of a cultural, political, and economic revival. And while the city's decaying nature has been under the spotlight for a number of years, redevelopment plans have come with controversy to many residents and supporters. Nonetheless, and thanks to the efforts of Madison Marquette, progress is being made toward reviving some of the city's most historic landmarks.
I remember being a little kid and, my father dragging my sister off of the merry-go-round at the other end of the boardwalk. And I remember seeing, looking up at the arcade, the very arcade that we're restoring now, and, looking at this terracotta, these figures, the seahorses with wings, all the fantasy, and it really had an impact on me. I don't know if others were like that, but oddly, I find myself back here, decades later, bringing it back, and I really like that. Restoration is a funny thing because you can't just buy a replacement. If you look at the ship on the top of the arcade, that took a long time to restore.
Builders and the new people that are involved in the restoration of Asbury Park seem to be doing a wonderful job. We're very excited about it, and I plan to spend the rest of my life here. And hopefully the project will continue as it is now, and it'll be the glorious health city place it was for all those years in the past.
With the plans in place and the support of the community, Asbury Park is on its way to becoming the majestic and intimate escape it once was. Soon, older generations will be remembering their past memories, the ambient sound of the ocean and children, and the visual elegance of this wonderfully mastered dreamscape will awaken from its long slumber once again to bring a new era to the Jersey Shore.